I'm Mike DeLong, and I've gathered all the new movies coming to your streaming services in one place so you don't have to. I've got what's coming out in May, and a look back to see what I missed in April. More new movies released in theaters this year are coming to streaming, so if there was a new release you were waiting for, it might be out this month. Without further ado, let's see what's coming in May. First up, we have Netflix. On the 1st, The Biggest Fan comes out. This Spanish language comedy is about a canceled actress who gets a film job in Mexico and meets her biggest fan, who turns out to be a nightmare. On the 4th, the Conan O'Brien Mark Twain Prize ceremony is released. On the 5th, we have Britain and the Blitz. It's a documentary about Britain during World War II. On the 7th, Lost Bullet 3. It's the last in a series of French action movies. It kind of looks like French Fast and Furious. So if you're into that, check it out. On the 8th, Heart Eyes comes out. It's a horror movie from this year where a killer stalks couples on Valentine's Day. On the 9th, Nanas. Vince Vaughn opens an Italian restaurant with Italian grandmas as the chefs. And on the 11th, ABBA Against the Odds, the BBC documentary from last year, comes to Netflix. We got some back-to-back documentaries. On the 14th, Garbo Where'd You Go? About the actress Greta Garbo. And on the 16th, The Quilters. It's a documentary short about incarcerated men who make beautiful quilts for foster children. On the 20th, a Sarah Silverman comedy special called Postmortem comes out. On the 23rd, we have two movies coming out. Air Force Elite Thunderbirds, a documentary about the Thunderbird Flight Squadron, and Fear Street Prom Queen, another entry in the Fear Street horror series, which was actually better than it had any right being. On the 26th, we have another comedy special by Mike Birbiglia called The Good Life. And on the 30th, A Widow's Game. Based on a true story, a Spanish nurse becomes the prime suspect in her husband's brutal murder. Next, we have what seems like a shockingly long list of things that I missed coming out on Netflix in April. Let's take a look. Guna Guna Istri Muda, an Indonesian horror thriller from last year. Test, an Indian cricket drama. A Queen's Runway, a documentary about Filipino Miss Universe hopefuls. Courts, State vs. a Nobody, an Indian crime documentary. Love Unlike in Korean Dramas, a Thai romance movie. The Room Next Door, starring Tilda Swinton and Julianne Moore, directed by Pedro Almodovar. This is about a woman who takes care of her dying friend. It was expected to be an awards contender last year, but missed out on all the majors except for the Golden Globes. My Hero Academia, You're Next, a continuation of the anime series. Aku Jati Aku Asperger, Indonesian rom-com drama about a man with Asperger's dealing with social situations. And Jewel Thief, The Heist Begins, an Indian action thriller. Next we have Hulu. We have two Korean movies coming out early in the month. On the 1st, Alienoid 2, The Return to the Future. It's a fantasy about ancient Taoists traveling through time to obtain a divine sword. And on the 2nd, Harbin. It's a spy thriller about Korean independence from Japan in the early 1900s. Also on the 2nd, 72 Hours. It's an action thriller about two brothers on opposite sides of the law who come together to save their family. And on the 3rd, Escape. It's a Spanish movie about a man who wants to live in prison, so he commits worse and worse crimes. On the 9th, we have two very different movies coming out. First, Summer of '69. A high school girl, hoping to seduce her crush before graduation, gets help from an exotic dancer. And The Damned, a horror drama about a 19th century widow who needs to make an impossible choice after a foreign ship sinks off the coast of her Icelandic fishing village. On the 16th, we have Last Breath, the Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu deep-sea diving rescue movie. I think. There was also a movie that came out last year called The Last Breath, about a group of college friends who reunite in the Caribbean and find a World War II battleship, find themselves trapped inside, surrounded by great white sharks. So, I don't know, two vastly different movies. We'll see which one it is. On the 20th, Night Call, a French action thriller about a locksmith who gets caught up in something and needs to prove his innocence in a city of turmoil. The next two movies I'm very interested in catching up with. On the 23rd, The Last Showgirl comes out. Pamela Anderson received a Best Actress nomination from the Screen Actors Guild for this movie about an aging showgirl who learns the revue she's been performing in for 30 years is about to close. And on the 27th, The Seed of the Sacred Fig comes out. It's a Persian language Best Foreign Language Film nominee. A judge imposes harsh rules on his family after his gun goes missing during political unrest in Tehran. And on the 30th, Into the Deep, an action thriller where modern-day pirates kidnap a boat of tourists and force them to scuba dive in shark-infested waters to retrieve sunken drugs. Sounds horrible. Next we have Max. On the 2nd, Adult Best Friends comes out. It's a comedy from last year. A woman tells her codependent best friend that she's getting married. It doesn't go well, and hilarity ensues? Zachary Quinto is the only name I recognize on the cast list, so probably don't go into this one with high expectations. On the 16th, The Brutalist comes out. An architect with a singular vision struggles both internally and externally to get his vision completed. It's a good movie, but kind of a miss for me. On the 23rd, something I might check out, Pee Wee Herman as himself. It's a 2-part documentary about the life of Paul Rubens. And on the 31st, Mountainhead comes out. It's a drama from this year where 4 friends reunite at an upper-class mountaintop home during worldwide economic turmoil. So, any Nepo reunion happening soon? Something I missed on Max last month was Companion. It's a sci-fi comedy thriller about a weekend getaway that becomes chaotic when one person is revealed to be an AI sex robot. If you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe. Also share on your socials so your friends don't miss out on any new movies either. Next up, we have Prime. On the 1st, Another Simple Favor comes out. It's a 2025 sequel to the Anna Kendrick, Blake Lively dark comedy where they reunite on Capri for a wedding. I don't even know why this movie was made. Anna Kendrick doesn't even like Blake Lively. The only reason I would watch this would be to see if it came out on screen or not. On the 6th, David Spade has a comedy special coming out called Dandelion. And on the 12th, Kraven the Hunter, the Sony Spider-Verse flop, comes to Prime after being on Netflix. I missed a couple things coming out on Prime last month. Conclave, Gladiator 2, and Nickel Boys. I've talked about these in previous videos, so I'm not going to go into it here. Next up is Peacock. On the 2nd, Black Bag comes out. It's a spy thriller from this year starring Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett. A spy looks for a mole, and the prime suspect is his wife. I was surprised to see this movie coming to streaming so soon after being released in theaters. Hoping to check it out soon. On the 9th, Love Hurts comes out. It's a comedy from this year starring Ke Huy Quan with a classic plot of man leaves behind life of crime only to be unexpectedly pulled back in when he gets discovered. I wanted to see it, but it got bad reviews, so not sure I'll be checking this one out. And on the 29th, Lisa Frankenstein comes back to Peacock. It's a dark comedy from last year where a teenager and her zombie crush try to find happiness and some missing body parts. I saw it, it was fine, not super memorable. I did miss some things coming out on Peacock last month. Last Breath. This one is definitely the Woody Harrelson Simu Liu deep sea diving rescue movie, not the other one with the battleship and the sharks. Also, Wolfman, the horror movie from earlier this year, came out. A family is attacked by an animal and the father begins to transform. I was interested in this movie, but the reviews were bad, so I'll probably skip this one too. Next up, we have Paramount Plus. On the 12th, Hard Truths comes out. This is a psychological drama dark comedy about a depressed woman who gets set off by the smallest offenses, and her sister, the only person who still sympathizes with her. Marianne Jean-Baptiste was on several Best Performance of the Year lists for 2024. Disney Plus has nothing new to offer, so we'll go straight to Apple TV. On the 23rd, The Fountain of Youth, a fantasy action movie with John Krasinski and Natalie Portman. They play 2 estranged siblings who come together to search for the Fountain of Youth. Guy Ritchie writes and directs. It's intriguing for the director, but it kind of looks like a National Treasure type movie. Not sure if I'll check it out. That's all we have for this month. My March review roundup became my most watched video in less than a day. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one too. My next video will be another review roundup of everything I watched in April. Thanks, and I'll see you again soon.